Welcome to a frustrated 5 at 5. Clearly, I'm still not over it. I'm sure many of you are still madly frustrated, but I'm going to try and not speak about referees in this 5 at 5 because if you watch my match reaction, if you haven't, it's pinned below, you'll know that I focused on the referees after yesterday's game because I was livid. But let's try and focus on some other things. So let's get stuck into my 5 at 5. Number 1, and I want to start on probably the biggest positive out of the game against Southampton, and that is Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka's form right now, in my opinion, has been the best he's ever had in an Arsenal shirt. He's playing brilliantly right now, and to be frank, probably one of the first names on the team sheet. He scored his first right-footed goal for Arsenal against PSV last Thursday, and that was about 7 years in the making. And then, like London buses, his next right-footed goal comes just 3 days later. And the similarities between the two goals were unbelievable. It was Tomiyasu against PSV, Ben White against Southampton, making inroads down the right-hand side, and with that cross into the box, they cut it back on the half volley and Granit Xhaka puts his right foot through the ball. Neither of his finishes were bang in the corner, but neither of them need to be. On his weak foot, on the half volley, that's quite a difficult finish to execute, and he did both of them really, really well and made the difference for Arsenal. Against Southampton, unlike against PSV, unfortunately we weren't able to hold on for all 3 points, but Granit Xhaka was definitely a bright spark in the game yesterday. Even after Southampton came into the game in the disappointing second half that Arsenal played, it felt like Granit Xhaka was one of the few players that seemed to maintain his level. And when he went from that left-hand side where he was doing so well and causing quite a lot of hassle for Southampton into the more central area, I actually feel like it took away from Arsenal quite a lot. But Granit Xhaka and the impact he is having on games will not last forever because very, very quickly I think teams are now going to cotton on to the danger that he poses as this person that seems to just appear unmarked frequently for Arsenal this season. Maybe opposition teams aren't expecting to need to worry about Xhaka in an attacking sense, but they're very quickly going to be alerted to that danger, and the challenge for Granit Xhaka is going to become a lot more difficult. However, he's got 4 goals this season, so in terms of him beating his previous best for goals in a season for Arsenal Football Club, he has got many games to do it in because he's just equalled his best ever goal scoring return with 4, which he's done on 2 previous occasions, one in 16-17 and one in 2018-2019. So this, as it stands, should be Granit Xhaka's best ever return for Arsenal in terms of goals, and hopefully his best ever season in an Arsenal shirt. Number 2, and let's talk about something that maybe didn't work that well, and that was Tomiyasu at left back. It wasn't a nightmare game for him, but the reason why I wanted to talk about this and get your opinions is because left back is maybe one of Arsenal's strongest positions in our squad. When all of our team are fit, we've got Zinchenko and Kieran Tierney, who in my view are both brilliant left backs. Yes, they do slightly different things and their strengths lie in slightly different areas, but with such a strong offering at left back, why is it that when one of them is fit, we're playing Tomiyasu out of position? As far as I'm concerned, if Tierney is available, he should be the one playing. Now, I love Tomiyasu, and in my last 5 at 5, I was asking the question, who should Arsenal's first choice right back be right now, given how well Ben White is doing? And Ben White continued to do well, even against Southampton, on the right-hand side with that brilliant assist, similar to the one Tomiyasu got against PSV. So even at right back, it's a bit of a dilemma. Who do we play? But for me, left back should not be a dilemma when either Zinchenko or Tierney is out injured. It should just be the one who's fit who should play. But even at left back, when Zinchenko and Tierney are fit, that's a problem. And now at right back, when Tomiyasu and Ben White are competing, that's a problem as well. Do you agree with me though that it should always be Zinchenko or Tierney, provided one of them that are fit, and Tomiyasu should not be playing left back, no matter how well he plays in his natural position of right back? So let me know who your first choice left back is for Arsenal, and also who your first choice right back is for Arsenal. Unfortunately, didn't work against Southampton. It'll be interesting to see what we do next time out in the Premier League against Nottingham Forest. Number 3, spoken about Xhaka, spoken about Tomiyasu, and the last player that I want to focus on today is Gabriel Jesus. Now listen, I am a huge fan of Jesus. I think the work that he does, the impact he has had on this team has been absolutely brilliant. He's so good at receiving the ball, spinning and turning what could be a backwards pass into a really promising attack. I think he's got loads to his locker in terms of offering the team that directness and that goal scoring threat. But, and you all know what this but is going to be, his finishing has to improve. The last time he scored a goal for Arsenal was right at the start of October against Tottenham. Since then, he's had games, he's had opportunities, and just hasn't found the back of the net. And as our leading light in that attacking trident for Arsenal Football Club, he needs to make sure he chips in with more goals. He simply can't afford to go that many games without scoring if Arsenal really are going to try and maintain the early season pace that we have set. Now, even though he does all of that great work and gets into the good positions, I have to feel sorry for him against Southampton, because when he was goal side and has done everything right, he was fouled about 3 or 4 times by Granit Xhaka in one moment where he then didn't get a penalty. Frustratingly, he even spoke to the referee after the game and shared that conversation where the referee apparently said to him, had you gone down earlier, I could have given the penalty. What a load of nonsense. It just promotes dishonesty in players, that even though Gabriel Jesus could have stayed up and obviously did try and stay up on his feet, it's more beneficial to him to just throw himself to the ground early in order to secure the penalty. If he wasn't fouled in that situation, hopefully he might have gone on and scored, but he's not being helped by awful refereeing that doesn't penalise complete foul play with the defence. I also saw some awful punditry on Sky Sports with what they do in terms of referee watch, where the 2 pundits were talking about how Granit Xhaka actually touched the ball. He touched the ball because he fouled him for about 5 seconds before he managed to get anywhere near the ball. Some people, they're not fit to be pundits, and it just frustrates me when people analyse the game in such a poor manner. But in any case, maybe something for Jesus to learn from and make the referee make a decision sooner rather than let him get away with the decision. Unfortunately, when you're talking about having to play the game in a different way in order to compensate for the incompetence of referees, you know when you've got a bad refereeing situation in your league. Number 4, rival watch. For only the second time this season, Arsenal have dropped points, and that's the second time in 11 games. So we have to keep some perspective and accept that no matter how frustrating the result was against Southampton, Arsenal are doing a brilliant job. Unfortunately, the machine that is Manchester City and Erling Haaland continue to churn away and got their 3 points. And the 2 to 4 point lead that we increased at the top of the table last week has been undone, and it's gone back from 4 points to 2 points by virtue of Manchester City winning. But thankfully, Chelsea and Man United drew, with Casemiro making a lot of Arsenal fans happy by getting that last gasp headed equaliser that made sure none of those teams got 3 points, and in fact neither of them gained any ground on Arsenal after our 1-1 draw, where we only took 1 point as well. And also we made a little bit of ground on Tottenham, who lost to Newcastle 2-1, and also Liverpool, who shockingly lost 1-0 against bottom of the table at that point, Nottingham Forest. Now, I want you guys to tell me in the comments below, Newcastle beating Tottenham away and creeping into 4th spot and now having a few more eyes turning their way. Do you think Newcastle are a credible threat for a top 4 finish this season, and should we be regarding them as rivals in that top 4 finishing spots? Let me know your thoughts on Newcastle in the comments below, but overall, it feels like, based on other results, Arsenal just about got away with dropping points this weekend. Number 5, 27 days until the World Cup starts, and in that time, Arsenal have got 3 Premier League games left. Now, we've been top of the league for quite a while in the Premier League, but I want to ask you guys who you think is going to be top of the league when that World Cup starts. Arsenal have got Nottingham Forest at home, Chelsea away and Wolves away, and Man City, realistically, the only other team that can really pip us to the top of the table before the World Cup starts, have got Leicester away, and then they've got Fulham at home and Brentford at home. Listening to those fixtures, how many points do you think Arsenal will get out of Forest at home, Chelsea and Wolves away? I think 7 points is a realistic target, with the draw coming away at Chelsea. And how many points do you think Man City will get out of Leicester away, followed by Fulham and Brentford at home? Well, Man City being the machine that they are, and with Erling Haaland firing them non-stop to victories this season, I imagine they'll get 9 points, which by virtue of their superior goal difference, standing at 25 compared to our 14 right now, that would see them go to the top of the league on goal difference. Now, for me, that's not the worst thing in the world. I think the pressure that comes with being the league leaders might not suit Arsenal very well. Happy for Man City to have that pressure and that scrutiny, and Arsenal can just hang in under the radar and hopefully take advantage when the right time comes. Let me know, though, who you think will be top of the league, and hopefully, no matter what happens, Arsenal will still avoid defeat in our last 3 games of the season and go into that World Cup feeling very good about the first half of the season. As ever, thank you very much for watching. That's it from me. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And if you haven't liked this video, make sure you hit that before you log off. I'll see you next time after PSV. Fingers crossed we can guarantee first place in our Europa League group and then get a nice rest against Zurich in advance of that Chelsea game, which is going to be massive. See you next time.